Welcome to Park Drive Church, and thank you for joining us for worship today. Our goal is to provide you with a meaningful, safe, and God-filled experience. We're taking a brand new approach to indoor gatherings, and I'd like to take a few moments to share it with you. Public worship is deeply cherished by our society. Whether it's times of celebration or mourning, determination, even confusion, people join together to find healing, comfort, strength, and direction from God. We here at Park Drive sincerely believe God will move in our gatherings. And we're mindful that He's asked us to worship Him in spirit, which often reflects our attitude, and also in truth, which means with Christ at the center of what we do. These are just a few key motivations for why we're here. And I urge everyone to pause and evaluate their own motivation before entering into a public worship service. While you're with us, there are some recommendations we have for your health and benefit. The first one is using masks properly while gathering in our facility so we can reduce the transmission of any illness in this critical time. Mask wearing has already proven to decrease the transmission of all kinds of viral illness. And because we have vulnerable and immune-compromised people with us, we want to limit their risks as well. Secondly, please avoid crowding to respect personal space and use the exits as instructed. Many people feel uncomfortable, even unsafe, when they're pressured by crowding or receiving an unconsented display of affection. Please use hand sanitizer or wash your hands frequently while you're with us. We don't sanitize our facility between Sunday services, and there are contact services that could easily be overlooked. Beyond these three basic recommendations, mask, space, wash your face, let's talk about a few what-ifs that could arise while we're together. If you're unsure of how to handle these recommendations or the comments of others, we'd like to offer three simple principles that may be of assistance, and they all start with the letter C. This is what we would call a conservative, cautious, and courteous approach. The conservative approach. Now, you might think we're trying to sway your vote in the oncoming election, but that's really not what we mean. Let me provide a few examples. If you're going through airport security before a flight, you can expect your bags to be screened for any items that may be hazardous or even restricted. Knowing this, most of us will pack accordingly to prevent items from being prohibited or even confiscated. That's the same principle we want to apply here in our church. When we worship together, we'd like to have a conservative approach towards the safety and well-being of others. Most recognize that right now, there's constant change in the conditions and the guidelines that are being laid out by Interior Health and the provincial government. With these frequent changes, there's a lot of uncertainty and even unclear direction as each stage of the pandemic unfolds. So, to avoid controversy and preserve the integrity of our friendships, and especially the integrity of our mission, we feel a conservative approach that's considerate and consistent will serve everyone's best interests, whether it be their health or their personal freedom. And in the same way you might remove your belt or your shoes for airport security, we kindly ask our attendees to cooperate willingly in a similar manner for the good of everyone. Secondly, we want to be cautious. Think of swimming at the beach or going to a private pool. Quite often you'll see a sign posted that says, "Caution" or "Hazard," "No lifeguard on duty." To be cautious in the church means recognizing that when we gather inside a building in greater numbers, we are at greatest risk of contracting an infectious illness. And as I said, not everyone in our midst shares a robust immunity. So here's a few simple tips on being cautious. Please refrain from passing objects to other people, whether it be pens, paper, food, or a coffee cup. Handout items during worship will always be passed by a staff member or a volunteer to reduce physical contact and ensure your safety. You may also notice that we do not pass around an offering plate or offering bag. So you might have a question about our donation practices. We have a donation station that is set up just outside our sanctuary with debit machine and envelopes to receive your cash, check, or debit donation. You can also email your financial gift to finances@parkdrivechurch.ca. Remember, others around you may not share the same information, and they may not act with the same awareness that you do. And so, just like swimming without a lifeguard, we want to caution you that gathering inside a building during a pandemic can be hazardous if we're not careful. Thirdly, we want to be courteous when we're together. Picture yourself in the grocery store lineup with a shopping cart that's full of groceries. Think of the people standing behind you, perhaps someone with just one or two items. Now, you could push your way through that lineup because it's your right to go next. But you could also be considerate and offer the person behind you to go first, who probably doesn't want to wait for you and your whole cart of groceries. That is, you could give up your position and your convenience for the benefit of others. This again is the same approach we'd like to see in church. It is exactly the mindset of our Lord Jesus, who puts the needs and interests of others ahead of his own, as we read in Philippians 2:3. And we would remind everyone that our volunteers and staff who greet you at the door or serve you from the platform, they're there to help and to direct. But they do not presume to offer health advice or political opinions. In fact, no one has come to act as the COVID police today. We have no means of enforcement beyond your cooperation. Hence, the sign that sits in our foyer. We are here to worship and not to vote. We are simply asking for Christ-like cooperation and care. And as you interact with our staff and volunteers, please remember, they're here to serve in the capacities they enjoy and offer willingly. We would ask you, just like that person in the grocery checkout, to consider others first and appreciate their strengths and their presence. Jesus once got really upset in church. He threw over tables, he started cracking a whip, and he angrily called out the money changers who prevented people from entering a sacred house of worship. Access is what Jesus died on a cross to make available to anyone who wanted to get closer to God. And access is important to us too here at Park Drive Church. That means being considerate of everyone's safety. If you have any questions or you'd like to make a comment about the new approach, please speak with me personally. I'm Pastor Bart. Take care.